Hello everybody, welcome to the video. Today we have Moto In-Depth Monday. Even though this is getting put out probably on a Tuesday, there's no way this is getting put out on the Monday. So this will be out Tuesday. Sorry for the lack of videos. I've been gone on a little vacation. And to start out with, we are not going to be doing the heats anymore on Moto In-Depth Mondays. We're just going to be jumping into the mains and kind of breaking down what happens there. My chair is really low actually, so here we go. All right, I think we're set. We'll hop into the 250 main event first. It was a really good start for Hunter, and then really early we saw all of these we saw all the star boys out third, fourth, and fifth. I think the order was at the end of it, it was Thrasher, Jordan, and Deegan, but I think Deegan even started in third. Got shuffled back by both of his teammates. So it was really funny because they actually raced each other pretty hard, and they have been all season long, but I just don't think that there's been as many encounters. So it really hasn't brought attention to people. But what was really cool to see was Blos. Blos was fast all day, had actually a really good qualifying session. I think he's starting to finally catch on to that Kawasaki. I think he's 35 years old, so it might take him a little longer than, a young gun hopping on a bike and, getting comfortable and whatnot. So it was really cool to see him kind of pick it up and start to show a little display of what could be. And I think that is like a top 5 at best sort of guy. So pretty good to see. He worked his way back up late in the main, and I don't think that gets covered in this anyway, so not spoiling anything from later. We'll see Hunter and Thrasher both started first and second 2 minutes in, so Thrasher definitely had his opportunity. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get onto that pace early. Deegan in fifth, chasing down Blos with Anstey right behind him. That was kind of cool because Blos off that good start was definitely a position that was pick-upable. It might have gotten a few guys' confidence up early in that race by, pulling momentum, saying, oh, I can pass Blos, which isn't like the biggest deal ever, but I can, blow past maybe a factory guy. Maybe I can continue to charge, so it might have been a good confidence booster. Something to note early as well. 3 minutes in, Jmar ended up in 7th, by the way, so just kind of... just kind of keep tabs with that. Deegan passed Blos for 5th, Anstey tracking down Blos right behind, Deegan. So it was Blos, Deegan, Anstey. Anstey gets past Blos, and now Anstey's marching after Blos before Deegan can get any sort of gap going. And Anstey and Jmart both pass Blos, and Jmart starts to pressure Anstey, so that battle sort of happens and lets Deegan kind of get out a little bit further, which was really good. Something I do want to note, though, Jmart looked incredible. He looked like vintage Jmart, not quite to that extent where he could like march all the way back up into third, but he was moving. I'll tell you that much. He looked really, really solid. I think that Daytona kind of kickstarted a little, not villain arc, but a revenge sort of, I need to pick it up, sort of desperate energy needs to get pushed into these next races. And I think with a tough condition, a guy with a lot of experience like Jeremy Martin comes into, plays well into his hands. So it was really cool to see him doing really well. And it was really fun to watch him kind of progress as the night went on. Jmart was able to get past Anstey, gets right up to Deegan really fast for 4th place, ended up making that pass with Hunter. And then with Hunter in first, Thrasher in second, down 4.3 seconds. Smith in third, down 7.4 seconds off the lead. 8 minutes in, not a lot happened there for a while. Hunter looked really steady in first, just had another, another race where he kind of just looked really solid out front. And I think that is kind of a common occurrence with these Lawrence brothers until there was a little lapper incident. And the lappers on this track were definitely challenging. And then some boneheads out there for sure. There is every weekend, so it's hard to navigate through. If you are a guy like Hunter, you took your line and you did exactly what you're supposed to. That lapper is just a dumbass, to say the least. And Thrasher quietly, riding in second was pretty solid. I don't think that there's really much to cover there. I don't think that there was, a whole lot to go into depth with this 250 main event. It was pretty straightforward. Top guys out front, kind of running first, second, and third. I wrote, Jordan Smith's a clear-cut third guy in this championship if Jmart cannot get up to quite his level, but right now, I think Jordan Smith is just chilling in third. I think he's not fine with it. He obviously wants a top step or even to just beat one of the top 2 guys. But I think realistically, he is the clear-cut third guy in this championship. And as we head later into the race, we saw an unfortunate accident there with Deegan down in the whoops again. We saw him go down in, what was it, Arlington? Or was that? Yeah, I think that was Arlington. So tough get off for him. Needs to probably get a little bit better in those whoops. Maybe Star might start chewing up those whoops and not prepping them, making them maybe a little bit bigger and whatnot, and hoping, or I hope that they can kind of let him get chewed up, because Hayden Deegan, he didn't look bad in them, but he kind of looked lost in sorts of lap to lap, like from what I saw at least. He didn't have a defined line like most of these guys did. These guys were doing the same thing lap after lap, and then kind of adapting to that same line depending on how it transformed throughout the main event. And so I think what Deegan was doing, he was doing the same thing, but it was inconsistently doing the same thing that wasn't fast. So it was not inefficient, to say the least, but it was faster than what some guys were doing, but it was definitely, there was definitely better ways through there, especially for a young guy like him. I don't think he was blitzing all night long. I think he finally caught on to kind of just like rolling through that jump line. Maybe later. I couldn't tell you. I think he did go down on the left side of the whoops where she was blitzing all night long, though. So it's hard to tell when you only get a small sample size to watch from some of these guys from the main event and whatnot. So it is cool. But Hunter ends up winning with Thrasher second, Jordan Smith in third. J Mart finishes in fourth. Anstey and Blows finish in front of Deegan. He fell 2 positions to seventh. So yeah, we saw Deegan and then Tom Vial kind of hit that mark, and then there's a pretty big gap to the next best guy. So there was that, and then we'll head on to the 450. This one's going to go by incredibly fast, and I didn't even have, okay, we got to get the segments in the back end too. So yeah, I guess we'll head in here. Looking at the 450 main event, Roczen and Sexton off to good jumps off the gate. I really liked the way that they were riding out early, these like first 2 laps or so. Webb got into second, but AC with a really good start, and I kind of wanted to talk about him and how he looked in his heat race as well. I think he also got a good start in his heat race and kind of battled with a few guys. So I think it was really nice to kind of see this is the best he's looked all season long, and it was really cool to kind of see him start progressing forward after missing 2 weeks. Hopefully he'll be ready to go for outdoors, and we'll see him kind of compete for top 5s there and whatnot. So it'll be really cool to see how he kind of progresses throughout the Super Motocross Championship we got going on. Tomac's horrible start in 10th. I don't think that's really ideal, especially for a tight track like this. That's not hard to pass on necessarily. There was a lot of passing, but it was kind of hard to march through from 10th to get to, go beast mode and get up to 3rd and the next 7 laps or so and still have a chance at that 2nd or 3rd place spot. So it is fun. Sexton, I kind of noted in his heat as well, he looked really shaky all night, kind of unhinged. The way that he was riding, it was not like we saw 2 weeks in a row, these last 2 weeks, where, I mean, Daytona, I didn't really get to see him too much, but the week before that, he was going so cautious. He wasn't riding dangerous at all. He wasn't missing anything. He was kind of just riding his laps, and I think here he looked really unhinged and something that was kind of not good. And personally, this will be a video for the next this week when when Ricky Carmichael comes out and says that there are rumors that he doesn't think Cooper Webb's guaranteed basically to leave. All these guys are on contract years. Chase Sexton's been in talks with Red Bull KTM. So there's like a lot going on contract-wise with some of these guys. So I'll definitely have to do my research and then break that down in a video. Hopefully you guys will be up for that one. But Sexton passed Webb for 2nd. Pretty early, 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, 2.5 minutes in. AC riding well in 4th, best that he's looked all year. I already noted that a little further back. Roczen looked so good out front. The way that he was riding, he looked kind of like Justin Cooper did last week, but with that top end speed. And what that really meant was he was riding like the veteran he is, and what we used to see him do, not with that just that first lap speed, but it was kind of that consistent, steady guy. You can go out front, you can run your laps, doesn't matter who the guys behind you are, it doesn't matter what sort of pace they're going to run. Doesn't break, he just stays up front, rides like the veteran he is, and kind of just gets through it. And it was really, really good to see vintage Kenny out there on that kickstart Suzuki. So it was really fun. It was really, really cool to see him out front again and really looking really comfortable throughout the whole entire main. There was no drop off. There was nothing. But I don't think that you can afford a drop off in first. So it'll be curious to see if he's using the same spot in like 5th. Is he going to have that drop off again in that second half? But it's really cool to see that Roczen's trying to catch his stride again. So Tomac was fighting for 7th with Jason Anderson. So it was really funny. These two last year were the 1 and 2 guys, and now they're battling for 7th. They are 8th and 7th with 6 guys ahead of them. Dude, it's so tough to see this because last year, both of these guys looked incredible, especially Jason Anderson looked so much better than he had in past years. I think he had like 9 wins last year, and then to come out and be fighting for 7th is just borderline, it is what it is. Sexton obviously had his little mishap, miscue. Ricky Carmichael was saying maybe he was in such a deep rut, or the rut shifted the bike into a false neutral, ended up trusting the bike, and then, just goes down. So it's a bit rough to see that for sure. You don't want to see that at all, especially for a guy. It wasn't even his mistake. I'll put it that way. It wasn't even his rider error. It looked like something did happen with the bike. So, I haven't watched the press conference. I haven't, and I probably should have done that before this video, and I'm completely sorry, but this is kind of just a process of the moment. It's getting pretty late in the day. NFL free agency is going on. I got to cover that as well in one of my other channels. So that is the most I'll give on that other channel as well. But picking it back up in 12th was Sexton. He just picked the bike back up, started riding, lost another position or two after he got back up, and then started rolling around, and then started to pick it back up, and by that time he was already back in 12th, so not really great to see. We'll go to look at the top 3 in this race. It was Roczen out front, and then Webb in second, with Sexton going down. Webb in second, down 3.3 seconds. Barcia marched all the way from 6th to 2nd. With the pass on Webb after Barcia was down 4.2 to Roczen later in that race. I do also want to hit on how Aaron Plessinger has done. He was really, really, really good in that solid 4th place. I don't think that he was talked about in these last 4 or 5 weeks. He's been kind of on that cool down since Oakland, I'd say. And so it's cool to see him starting to get into his groove as well. Webb, Barcia into second, down 3.8 seconds from Ken Roczen. Webb not leaving Barcia's tail in 3rd, though, after basically letting him pass. He did a roll. So it was tough. You guys are seeing, I think, right now, it was a roll, tabletop, and then a roll. That was what Cooper Webb did, and then Barcia kind of just did his thing. And so I think Webb did want to get him past because he wanted to see what he was doing through the whoops because he knew he was losing time in some places. So Webb was not hesitant to let him go. He did not want to get swept out either. He knew that he was in front of the guys he needed to be in front of, and so that was also really cool to see was Webb's IQ come into play once again. I don't think that there is really anyone smarter in the game right now in that sense. So it is what it is. Jason Anderson 21. I have JA21 written down because that's kind of just in abbreviations how I'm used to seeing his name. Good effort to get to 5th after battling for that 7th place with Eli Tomac. I think he got past his teammate as well. So he got past his teammate and someone else up there in that top 6 spot. So good ride from Anderson. Definitely showed some good effort. 8 minutes to go with Kenny out front, barely losing time to Barcia in second. Barcia gets to about 2.9 seconds with 5 minutes to go. All this happening while Craig is trying to get Eli Tomac for 7th, and that all came with a cost as well. A little mistake from Eli Tomac did let Craig pass late in that race, which was really funny to see because Craig, no offense to him, not the best this year. He definitely hasn't shown quite where his ceiling's at on that 450. And I think that when this come this outdoor season, he's gonna start climbing up people's boards. I think he might be a top 5 guy when all said and done in the Super Motocross Championship. But hopping back onto that leaders train with Barcia, negative 2.4 seconds with 3 minutes and 22 seconds to go. So it was actually Roczen out front, Barcia 1.9 seconds behind him. Webb 3.8 seconds behind Roczen with 2 minutes to go. Barcia getting close despite the lappers kind of held Roczen up, but Barcia was able to navigate them well. Barcia was only down 1 second with 2 laps to go. Both are using very different lines, and I think that really showed. Not both using different lines in every single rhythm section, but it was kind of different lines throughout the night that we've seen. And normally you don't see that. Normally, that's not the standard. Normally, these guys, it's not a one-line track, but there's a very distinct fast line, and I think a lot of guys tend to use those, but there was a lot of different varieties of what you were doing section to section in this track, so that was really fun to see how these guys were going up and down and then left and right, and it was just really cool to see a track like this kind of break down. Indianapolis always makes for some good racing. That being said, Kenny trying to ride defensive, but still trying to go fast with Barcia right on his tail. Final lap comes around. Kenny holds on for the win for the first time in a while. I think it's first time in 2 years or since 2 years ago in Anaheim. So yeah, crazy. Best race in a while we've seen from, some of these guys, and just best race we've seen probably this season. But that being said, it was the best race this season, and it was without Cooper Webb, Eli Tomac, or Chase Sexton winning. It was still the best race of the season regardless, despite who was up in that top three. Cooper Webb was still there, but there wasn't any Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, Chase Sexton podium going on where there was kind of yo-yos. It was just really intense, fun to watch. It was Roczen in first, Barcia in second, Cooper Webb in third, Aaron Plessinger in fourth, Jason Anderson in fifth, AC in sixth, Adam Cianciarillo in sixth, Christian Craig in seventh, Eli Tomac in eighth, Justin Hill in ninth, and Chase Sexton finishes in that 10th place spot. Championship standings goes to Cooper Webb by 1 point. It's standing at 202 points. Eli Tomac's -1 to him, and then Chase Sexton, despite having one of the worst races all season long, goes down only 13 points to Cooper Webb due to the bad finish from Eli Tomac. So Cooper Webb will have the red plate headed into next weekend. God, we are shaping up to have such a great championship. I think Chase Sexton's got a lot of work cut out for him. He needs to start winning now if he's going to have any chance, but that'll also be broken down in a video later. Later probably this week. So stay tuned for that as well. Let's hop into these segments. We'll head to progression point to start off this segment. Okay, we'll call this segment. Just kidding. So basically, progression point, we go over younger or just like developing riders in their classes and kind of how they're moving and progressing, to say the least. So progression point, we'll start off with Tom Viel in that 250 class. Had a pretty foggy finish, so this could be a little bit down in confidence for him. Kind of thought that this track would suit him a little bit better. It gets rough pretty fast. Him being an MXGP rider, he's pretty good at, navigating a rough track or a rougher track. And so I thought that he'd actually excel on this track a little bit more than usual. I was expecting probably a top 5 from him. I think he finished just outside of a top 5 with, he actually did finish in about 8th. So 1, 2, 3, 8th. So not a good ride from Tom Viel. I think he kind of does take a little bit of a step back. Come this outdoor season, I will be really excited to see what he does. If he races with us, that's not 100% confirmed yet. I don't think he might be. It's possible. I could be wrong. Correct me. I don't know. I haven't really done my research on that because he's just in progression point, ladies and gentlemen. He's not supposed to be anything special. I'm not supposed to be talking about his future here. Heading into the 450 class for progression point, it was Christian Craig for me. Guy was absolutely solid. We did see him pass Eli Tomac pretty late as well. And that might be a vote of confidence going forward. I think who also could have been used in this segment is Adam Cianciarillo with his best ride of the year, in my opinion. So Christian Craig has been in that 6th to 8th conversation in these last few weeks, and with that pass on Eli Tomac, knowing that he was actually running on a very tough track, might give him a happy vote of confidence headed in these last few weeks of the season, and might be able to snowball something down the road as well. We will get off of the progression point talk and get to Rocky Rides. What this segment's all about is who had the worst rides, who had the most disappointing finishes and results, who had a tough day. And I think that starts with Hayden Deegan in that 250 class. Nobody else really. Tom Viel is definitely in consideration here, but Hayden Deegan was in that 5th place spot, goes down in the whoops. Mentioned this already. Fell from 5th to 7th, so not ideal for him as well. And then in that 450 class, pretty self-explanatory. You could go for either Chase Sexton or Eli Tomac. Eli Tomac just did not look good. He looked washed in all seriousness. He might be regretting that contract now to extend throughout this motocross and the playoffs. So, it is what it is. We'll see how he bounces back. Never can count Eli Tomac out, even especially after a bad week. But Chase Sexton, definitely, I feel for him. He's probably my front runner for this Rocky Ride segment. Tough day for him. Moving on to Fun and Fluid, where we have Jeremy Martin in that 250 class. He looked really good. Definitely out front, or like not out front, but when he had space and just time on the track and out front of the next guy, he looked really, really good. He looked well conditioned, another guy that, like, I don't even think fitness is even in the question for him, despite being off the bike for a while, managing a few different injuries. But he would track someone down, he'd make the pass, and then he'd look free. And he'd look so good for so long until he catches up to the next best guy, kind of tightens up, passes again, and then looks free again. And I think that's what you really adore about a guy like Jeremy Martin. Really focused on what's in front of him, when something is in front of him, and then really loose when he has free space. And so that was something that I really liked. He made the track look easy, despite not really, not really having an easy track dealt to him this weekend, and so, or this past weekend. Jeremy Martin, definitely a front runner for that 250 class. If you guys didn't know what the segment is about, it's about how fun a guy's having, how fluid they look on the track, and that kind of is in the name, fun and fluid. So moving on to the 450 class, you might think it is Ken Roczen, but no, it is indeed Justin Barcia, a guy who I tagged as a winner this season. I said that Ken Roczen could still win this season. I said that Jason Anderson could still win this season, but I said that Ken Roczen probably has the lowest chance, and that Barcia and Anderson probably had the higher chances to win a race of the second half of the season. But Barcia, man, he looked in winning shape for sure. I cannot wait to see how he can kind of finish the second half of the championship and move and carry all of that into this next, in the beginning of the motocross season. Like, it'll be insane to see how well he does, and I think that he's got a long road ahead of him, when it comes to winning championships. And I don't think that he'll be ever back in that conversation, especially after the first half of this last season. Maybe motocross will be his last little shot at it. But him reaching that higher age, still getting faster though, looked really fun. Like, looked like he was having a lot of fun. He said it after his heat race. He said it after the main event. Man, that was fun. And I think that will consistently come for the last half of the season, as Justin Barcia will continue to stack podium results. In my opinion, he will be one of the fastest guys out there this last little bit of the season here. I cannot wait. It should be a really fun, really fun. I mean, top 5 guys. We know Ken Roczen can win now. Barcia is looking really fast. And then, of course, we have those 3 front runners, Eli, Chase Sexton, and Cooper Webb. This is going to be the deepest we've ever seen it, with wild cards kind of like Aaron Plessinger, Adam Stanciarillo, Jason Anderson, all involved. And then Craig, who can kind of, mess up things in the back half. Maybe his best will be like a 5th this year, maybe even a 6th, but that's fine. Someone that can still shake something up in the back of the pack is still very valuable as well. So that'll be all for me. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate everything that I've gotten so far on this channel. Hayden Deegan is unfortunately not in the title this week, so this video might not do as well. I'll see you guys next time.